The incident in the sky. It was a crisp autumn morning when Cristiano Ronaldo boarded a private jet at Lisbon Airport. The world-famous footballer had just finished a charity event in his hometown and was looking forward to a short trip to Paris to attend a humanitarian gala. Cristiano had always believed in using his fame for good, and this event was no different. A fundraiser aimed at building schools for underprivileged children. As he entered the plane, he greeted the flight attendants with his usual charm. Despite his global stardom, Ronaldo was known for his humility. He shook hands, smiled warmly, and exchanged a few kind words with the crew. Everyone seemed thrilled to have such an iconic personality on board, except for one flight attendant. Her name was Clara, and though she had worked for years in the aviation industry, she had a reputation for being difficult with passengers she deemed not her kind. Cristiano, oblivious to her prejudices, took his seat in the first-class cabin. He settled into his chair, pulled out his phone, and began reading messages from his family. As the flight prepared for takeoff, Clara approached Ronaldo. Her demeanor was cold, her tone clipped. "Sir, I'll need you to stow your phone immediately." Cristiano glanced up, slightly taken aback. "Of course," he said politely, placing his phone in his bag. He didn't think much of the interaction at the time, attributing her behavior to stress or a bad day. But it didn't stop there. Throughout the flight, Clara's attitude grew increasingly hostile. When Ronaldo requested a bottle of water, she rolled her eyes and handed it to him with a sharp "here." When other passengers approached him for autographs or photos, she interrupted, stating loudly that such behavior was disturbing other guests. The tension reached its peak an hour into the flight. Cristiano, who had been quietly reviewing documents for the gala, was approached by a young boy from the economy section. The child, no older than 10, was visibly excited and clutched a small notepad and pen in his hands. "Excuse me, Mr. Ronaldo," the boy said, his voice trembling with nervousness. "Could I please have your autograph? You're my hero." Cristiano's face lit up with a warm smile. "Of course, young man," he replied, taking the notepad and pen. But before he could write anything, Clara appeared out of nowhere. "Absolutely not," she snapped, glaring at the boy. "This is a first-class cabin. You can't just barge in here." The boy's face fell, his excitement replaced by confusion and embarrassment. Cristiano stood up, his protective instincts kicking in. "It's all right," he said gently, placing a reassuring hand on the boy's shoulder. "He's not causing any trouble." But Clara was relentless. "Rules are rules, Mr. Ronaldo. If you can't respect them, perhaps you should find another flight." The cabin fell silent. Passengers turned to watch the scene unfold, their eyes darting between Clara and Cristiano. The boy's mother, who had followed her son to the cabin, looked mortified. "I'm so sorry," she stammered. "We didn't mean to cause any trouble." Cristiano handed the notepad back to the boy and crouched down to meet his eye level. "Don't worry, little man," he said softly. "Sometimes people forget how important kindness is. Keep your head up." But Clara wasn't done. She called over the pilot and demanded that Ronaldo be removed from the flight for violating passenger protocol. The pilot, visibly uncomfortable, tried to de-escalate the situation, but Clara was adamant. Finally, Cristiano, not wanting to create further distress for the passengers, decided to leave the plane. "It's all right," he told the pilot. "I'll take another flight." As he walked down the aisle, passengers began to clap in support of him. Some even shouted words of encouragement. Clara, however, remained unfazed, her expression one of smug satisfaction. Ronaldo stepped off the plane, his heart heavy. He couldn't understand how someone could act with such hostility and prejudice. But what he didn't know was that this incident was about to spark a chain of events that would bring justice in the most unexpected way. A ripple of outrage. Cristiano Ronaldo stood on the tarmac, the sun beating down on his shoulders. He adjusted his travel bag and took a deep breath, trying to suppress the frustration welling up inside him. It wasn't the first time he had faced unfair treatment, but it had been years since something this blatant had occurred. Despite the injustice, he reminded himself to remain calm. He was a public figure, and every move he made could be magnified and twisted. However, this incident would not go unnoticed. Far from it. As Cristiano made his way back to the airport lounge, word of what had happened spread like wildfire. Unbeknownst to him, a fellow passenger in the first-class cabin had recorded the entire interaction and uploaded it to social media. The caption read, "Flight attendant humiliates Cristiano Ronaldo for no reason. His response will make you respect him even more." Within minutes, the video began to gain traction. Fans from all corners of the globe expressed their outrage at the treatment he had received. Comments flooded in. How could anyone treat Ronaldo like this? He's one of the most humble athletes out there. That little boy just wanted an autograph. This is heartbreaking. Cristiano handled this with such grace. Clara needs to be held accountable. Meanwhile, in the lounge, Cristiano sat quietly, sipping a glass of water. His assistant, Miguel, arrived moments later, his face flushed with concern. "Boss, have you seen this?" he asked, showing Cristiano the video on his phone. The footballer's brows furrowed as he watched the clip. He hadn't realized the extent of Clara's hostility until seeing it replayed. "I didn't want this to become a spectacle," Cristiano murmured, shaking his head. "It's not about me. It's about that boy. He didn't deserve to be treated like that." Miguel nodded. "I know, but this is out of our hands now. The world is watching, and they're on your side." As the hours passed, the story was picked up by major news outlets. Headlines ranged from "Cristiano Ronaldo forced off plane by flight attendant" to "Football legend's graceful response" to "Unjust treatment sparks global outcry." Fans demanded action, and hashtags like #JusticeForRonaldo and #Clara must apologize began trending. In the middle of the media storm, the airline released a statement. It was a carefully worded apology, but it failed to address the core issue. Instead, it vaguely mentioned misunderstandings and promised an internal review. This only fueled the public's anger. People called for Clara to be held accountable and for the airline to issue a proper apology, not just to Ronaldo, but to the boy and his family as well. Meanwhile, Ronaldo takes action. True to his nature, Cristiano didn't want to dwell on the negativity. Instead, he saw an opportunity to turn this unfortunate event into something meaningful. After consulting with Miguel, he decided to reach out to the young boy and his mother. With the help of his team, he tracked them down and invited them to a private meet and greet at a local stadium. When the boy, named João, arrived with his mother, he could hardly believe his eyes. The stadium, empty of fans, felt like a sacred space. Cristiano greeted them warmly, kneeling down to João's level. "You're my guest today," Ronaldo said with a smile. "And this time, no one's going to stop us." João beamed as Cristiano handed him a personalized jersey, signed with the words, "Dream big, and never let anyone dim your light. Cristiano." The two spent the afternoon together, kicking a ball around the pitch. João's laughter echoed through the stadium, a sound that melted away the bitterness of the earlier incident. As a final surprise, Ronaldo gifted João and his mother tickets to an upcoming match, complete with VIP access. "This is just the beginning," Cristiano told him. "Never stop believing in yourself." The public's reaction. Photos and videos of Cristiano's meeting with João quickly surfaced online, shared by fans and news outlets alike. The narrative shifted from outrage to admiration. People praised Ronaldo for his kindness and for turning a negative experience into a positive one. This is why Ronaldo is a legend, not just for his skills on the field, but for his heart, one fan wrote. But the story wasn't over yet. Clara faces consequences. Back at the airline, Clara's actions were under scrutiny. The management team, overwhelmed by the backlash, conducted a thorough investigation. Interviews with other crew members and passengers painted a damning picture of her behavior. It wasn't just Cristiano who had faced her hostility. Others had similar stories of mistreatment, though none as high profile. The airline, desperate to salvage its reputation, issued a second statement. This time, it directly addressed the incident, apologizing to Ronaldo, João, and the passengers on board. They announced that Clara had been suspended pending further action. For Clara, the consequences extended beyond her job. Her name was now synonymous with poor customer service, and her actions became a cautionary tale in the industry. While some felt sympathy for the backlash she faced, most agreed that her behavior had been unacceptable. Cristiano's perspective. Through it all, Ronaldo remained focused on his goals. He didn't let the incident define him, nor did he harbor resentment. When asked about it in an interview, he said, "I believe in forgiveness and in learning from mistakes. What happened was unfortunate, but it's in the past. My focus is always on moving forward and making a positive impact." His words resonated with fans, reinforcing his image as a role model both on and off the field. The ripple effect. The incident sparked a larger conversation about prejudice, professionalism, and the importance of kindness. Airlines worldwide began implementing stricter training programs for their staff, emphasizing empathy and respect for all passengers, regardless of their status or background. For João, the experience became a defining moment in his young life. Inspired by Ronaldo's kindness, he began dreaming of becoming a footballer himself, not just to play the game, but to inspire others the way Cristiano had inspired him. The unfolding journey of redemption and change. The days following the incident on the flight were transformative, not just for Cristiano Ronaldo, but for everyone involved. The story had become more than a viral sensation. It was a movement. Fans, organizations, and even other celebrities began sharing their stories of resilience in the face of discrimination. But for Cristiano, the most meaningful moments were those that happened quietly, away from the cameras and social media buzz. Cristiano's quiet reflection. Back home in Madeira, Portugal, Cristiano found solace in his family. After days of relentless media coverage, he decided to take a step back from the spotlight. Sitting on the balcony of his family home, overlooking the azure waters of the Atlantic, Ronaldo reflected on the incident. His mother, Dolores, joined him with a cup of tea. "You've always been strong, my son," she said, placing a comforting hand on his shoulder. "What happened wasn't fair, but you handled it with grace. That's what matters." Cristiano nodded. "It's not just about me, May," he replied. "It's about setting an example. If someone like me, with all my privilege, can face this, imagine how often it happens to people who don't have a platform to speak out." Dolores smiled, proud of the man her son had become. "Then use your voice, Cristiano. Make a difference." And so, Cristiano decided to do just that. A campaign for kindness. Within weeks, Cristiano launched a new initiative called Elevate Humanity, a global campaign aimed at promoting kindness, empathy, and inclusion. Partnering with organizations like UNICEF and other humanitarian groups, the campaign sought to address issues like discrimination, bullying, and inequality. The first event under the Elevate Humanity banner was held in Lisbon, a charity match featuring some of the biggest names in football. Tickets sold out within hours, with proceeds going toward programs that supported marginalized communities. João, the young boy from the flight, was invited to participate as an honorary guest. He walked onto the pitch hand in hand with Ronaldo, his face beaming with pride. During the halftime break, Cristiano gave a heartfelt speech. "Kindness is not just a gesture, it's a responsibility," he told the crowd. "We all have the power to make someone's day better, to lift each other up instead of tearing each other down. Let's choose kindness, always." The audience erupted in applause, and the message resonated far beyond the stadium. The event raised millions, and the campaign gained momentum, inspiring countless acts of kindness around the world. Clara's turning point. Meanwhile, Clara, The flight attendant whose actions had sparked the incident was grappling with the fallout. She had lost her job and faced public condemnation. For weeks, she avoided the internet, unable to bear the comments and criticism directed at her. But deep down, she knew she had to face the consequences of her actions. One day, Clara received an unexpected letter in the mail. It was from Cristiano Ronaldo himself. The letter read, "Dear Clara, I believe in second chances and in the ability of people to change. We all make mistakes. It's how we learn from them that truly matters. I hope this experience has given you an opportunity to reflect as it has for me. If you ever need support in starting fresh, my team is here to help. Wishing you strength and peace in the journey ahead. Sincerely, Cristiano Ronaldo." Clara was stunned. She had expected anger, condemnation, or perhaps nothing at all. But Ronaldo's words were filled with compassion. They planted a seed of change in her heart, determined to turn her life around. Clara decided to volunteer at a local charity that worked with underserved communities. Over time, she learned the value of empathy and humility. It wasn't an easy journey, but it was a necessary one. Months later, Clara reached out to Cristiano through his team. She asked for an opportunity to apologize in person. Ronaldo, true to his forgiving nature, agreed. The meeting took place in a quiet conference room in Lisbon. Clara walked in, her hands trembling. Ronaldo greeted her with a warm smile, his demeanor calm and welcoming. "I'm so sorry," Clara said, her voice cracking. "I let my biases cloud my judgment, and I hurt people in the process. I've spent these months reflecting, and I want to thank you for giving me the chance to make amends." Cristiano nodded, his gaze steady. "It takes courage to admit when you're wrong. What matters now is how you move forward." They talked for over an hour, discussing the incident, their backgrounds, and their shared belief in the power of redemption. By the end of the meeting, Clara felt a sense of closure and a newfound purpose. The ripple effect. Clara's story became a powerful testament to the impact of humility and forgiveness. She began speaking at events hosted by Elevate Humanity, sharing her journey and advocating for kindness and self-awareness. Her transformation inspired others to confront their own biases and strive for personal growth. João, too, found his life forever changed. Encouraged by Ronaldo's mentorship, he joined a local football academy and began working hard to pursue his dream of becoming a professional player. He often spoke about the day Cristiano Ronaldo taught him to never let anyone dim his light, a lesson he carried with him on and off the pitch. Cristiano's legacy. Through it all, Ronaldo remained focused on his mission. Elevate Humanity grew into a global movement, with branches in multiple countries and partnerships with schools, businesses, and governments. It became more than a campaign. It was a call to action that reminded people of the power of kindness. As Cristiano continued his illustrious career, winning trophies and breaking records, he never lost sight of what truly mattered. He often said, "Football gave me fame, but kindness gave me purpose." A vision beyond football. Cristiano Ronaldo had always been a man of ambition, both on and off the pitch. By now, his Elevate Humanity campaign had become a global phenomenon, reaching millions of people across continents. But for Cristiano, it wasn't about fame or recognition. It was about making a lasting difference. As the campaign flourished, Cristiano found himself thinking more deeply about his legacy. Football had given him so much, a platform, wealth, and the admiration of millions. But he wanted to ensure that his impact would endure long after his playing days were over. And so, he began planning a new chapter of his journey, one that would intertwine his passion for football with his mission to inspire kindness and change. The Ronaldo Foundation Academy. Cristiano's vision was bold, to create an international network of academies that would nurture not only young football talent, but also instill values of empathy, teamwork, and resilience. These academies wouldn't just train future athletes, they would shape future leaders. He called it the Ronaldo Foundation Academy. The first academy was established in Madeira, his hometown. Set against the lush backdrop of the island's hills, the facility was state-of-the-art, equipped with world-class training fields, classrooms, and dormitories. But what set it apart was its holistic approach. Every student, regardless of their skill level, was taught the importance of character alongside their football training. Ronaldo made it a point to visit the academy regularly, spending time with the kids and sharing his own life lessons. He often told them about his humble beginnings, the nights he spent away from his family at a young age, the sacrifices his mother made to support his dreams, and the challenges he faced on his path to greatness. One day, during a visit to the academy, Ronaldo noticed a young boy sitting alone on the sidelines. The boy, named Elias, was new to the program. He had been orphaned at a young age and had grown up in foster care. While talented, Elias struggled with self-doubt and rarely interacted with the other kids. Ronaldo approached him, sitting down on the grass beside him. "Why aren't you out there, Elias?" he asked, nodding toward the field. The boy hesitated, staring at his shoes. "I don't think I'm good enough," he admitted quietly. Cristiano placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "Do you know what's more important than being good at football?" he asked. When Elias shook his head, Ronaldo continued, "Believing in yourself. I wasn't always the best player on the field, but I worked hard, and I never stopped believing. And do you know what I see when I look at you?" Elias looked up, his eyes filled with curiosity. "What?" "I see someone with potential," Ronaldo said with a smile. "But you have to believe it too." From that day on, Elias began to transform. He trained harder, connected with his teammates, and even started helping other kids who were struggling. His story became a symbol of what the academy stood for, unlocking potential through kindness, guidance, and belief. A global movement. The success of the Madeira Academy led to the opening of additional branches in underprivileged regions across Africa, Asia, and South America. Each academy was designed to provide free access to education, nutrition, and sports training for kids who would otherwise lack such opportunities. Cristiano traveled to each opening, meeting with local communities and listening to their stories. In Kenya, he met a young girl named Amina, who had been told her dreams of playing football were unrealistic because of her gender. Ronaldo invited her to participate in the academy's inaugural training session, where she impressed everyone with her skill and determination. Amina's story soon became an inspiration for girls around the world who wanted to break barriers in sports. Clara's continued redemption. Meanwhile, Clara, the former flight attendant, was still on her own journey of redemption. She had become a dedicated volunteer for Elevate Humanity, working with children and families affected by discrimination. Her work brought her to one of Ronaldo's academies in Brazil, where she helped organize community outreach programs. During one of the events, Clara found herself face-to-face with Ronaldo once again. This time, it wasn't as a disgraced flight attendant, but as someone who had grown through her experiences. "Mr. Ronaldo," she said, her voice steady but emotional, "thank you for believing I could change. This work has given my life meaning." Cristiano smiled, shaking her hand. "It's Clara now, right?" he joked, referencing her earlier refusal to use his first name. "I'm glad to see you here. Change isn't easy, but you've proven it's possible." Their interaction, captured by one of the academy's media teams, became a symbol of the power of forgiveness and second chances. Clara's transformation inspired countless others to take responsibility for their actions and strive for better. The ripple effect. The ripple effect of Ronaldo's efforts was felt across the globe. Stories of kindness began to dominate the headlines. Fans donating to charities in his name, children organizing community cleanups, and even rival footballers joining his campaign. At one point, a journalist asked Ronaldo what drove him to dedicate so much of his time and resources to these efforts. "I've been blessed with more than I could have ever dreamed of," he replied. "But what's the point of success if you don't use it to lift others? At the end of the day, it's not the trophies or the goals that matter. It's the lives you touch." João's journey. João, the young boy who had sparked the entire movement, continued to thrive under Ronaldo's mentorship. Now a teenager, he had become one of the standout players in the Madeira Academy. During an international youth tournament, João scored the winning goal for his team, earning them the championship title. In his post-match interview, he dedicated his victory to Ronaldo. "He taught me that no matter what people say or do, you have to keep believing in yourself. I wouldn't be here without him." Ronaldo, watching from the stands, couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. João's journey reminded him of his own struggles and triumphs, and it reaffirmed his commitment to helping others reach their potential. The legacy of kindness. As the years passed, Cristiano's efforts continued to grow. The Ronaldo Foundation Academies became a global network, producing not only talented footballers, but also compassionate leaders who carried his message forward. By the time Ronaldo retired from professional football, his impact extended far beyond the pitch. He had built a legacy of kindness, resilience, and hope that would inspire generations to come. In his farewell speech, Ronaldo addressed his fans with tears in his eyes. "I've lived my dream every day on the field," he said, "but my greatest victory is knowing that I've helped others live theirs. Thank you for believing in me and for believing in the power of kindness." The crowd erupted into cheers, their voices echoing the sentiment that had defined Ronaldo's life. Greatness isn't measured by what you achieve, but by what you give back. The rise of the kindness revolution. Cristiano Ronaldo's global movement had grown into something extraordinary, but little did he know that the ripple effects of his efforts were about to spark a monumental shift, a worldwide phenomenon that would be known as the kindness revolution. This movement, rooted in the principles of empathy, inclusivity, and the empowerment of others, began as a grassroots initiative, but soon captured the imagination of people across the globe. A new global initiative. With the Ronaldo Foundation Academies thriving, Cristiano decided to take the next big leap, launching an annual international event called the World Kindness Summit. The summit aimed to bring together leaders from different fields, sports, education, technology, and activism, to discuss innovative ways to promote kindness and tackle global issues like inequality, discrimination, and poverty. The first summit was held in Geneva, Switzerland, attracting thousands of participants from over 100 countries. Among the keynote speakers were Ronaldo himself, global philanthropists, and even former rivals who had joined his mission. The theme of the summit was simple yet powerful: compassion as a catalyst for change. During his opening address, Cristiano stood before the packed audience, a mixture of fans, dignitaries, and changemakers, and shared his vision. "When we choose kindness," he began, "we create a world where no one is left behind. This isn't just about football or fame. It's about humanity. Each of us has the power to make a difference, no matter how small our actions may seem." The audience erupted into applause, and the summit's impact was immediate. Delegates left with actionable strategies, from implementing kindness curriculums in schools to launching community initiatives. Governments pledged to prioritize programs that fostered inclusion, and corporations committed to ethical practices that benefited both people and the planet. The media dubbed it the kindness revolution, and it became a trending global hashtag. But for Cristiano, it wasn't just a movement, it was his life's mission. A story that united nations. One of the most heartwarming moments of the summit occurred when Ronaldo invited João and Amina, two young athletes whose lives he had touched, to share their stories on stage. João spoke about his transformation from a shy boy on that ill-fated flight to a confident young footballer who now mentored younger children at the Madeira Academy. "I used to think the world was unfair," João said, his voice steady but emotional. "But Cristiano taught me that we have the power to change it, one act of kindness at a time." Amina's story was equally inspiring. She shared how she had overcome societal barriers in Kenya to become one of the first female captains of her local football team, thanks to Ronaldo's belief in her. "When I stepped onto the pitch, people doubted me," she said, her gaze fierce. But Cristiano's support reminded me that I could achieve anything. Now, I want to do the same for other girls. Their stories brought the audience to their feet, and Ronaldo couldn't help but smile, knowing that these two young people represented the future he had always dreamed of, a future defined by courage, kindness, and inclusivity, the unexpected ally. As the kindness revolution gained momentum, Cristiano received a surprising message. It was from Lionel Messi, his longtime rival and fellow football legend. Despite years of being pitted against each other by fans and the media, Messi had been quietly following Ronaldo's humanitarian efforts and was deeply moved. The message read, "Cristiano, rivalry has always fueled our best performances on the pitch, but your work off the field has shown me what true greatness looks like. I'd like to join your mission. Let's show the world that together, we can achieve something far greater than individual glory." Cristiano was taken aback, but in the best way possible. He immediately called Messi, and the two spent hours discussing ways to collaborate. What emerged was a groundbreaking partnership, the creation of the Unity Cup, an annual charity football match featuring the world's best players. Proceeds from the event would go toward funding kindness programs in underserved communities worldwide. The announcement of their collaboration sent shockwaves through the football world. Fans of both players celebrated the union, and the first Unity Cup, held in Madrid, broke all records for viewership and fundraising. Seeing Ronaldo and Messi play side by side, not as rivals but as allies, became a symbol of the unifying power of kindness. Clara's new role. Meanwhile, Clara, who had transformed her life through Ronaldo's forgiveness and guidance, found herself at the forefront of the kindness revolution. After months of volunteering, she was offered a leadership role within the Ronaldo Foundation. Her task was to oversee the foundation's new program, Wings of Empathy, which aimed to train airline and hospitality staff in emotional intelligence and cultural sensitivity. Clara traveled to different countries, conducting workshops and sharing her story. "If someone like me can change," she would often say, "then anyone can. Kindness isn't just something you show to others. It's something you choose to live every day." Under her leadership, the program became a resounding success, reducing complaints of bias and unprofessionalism in the industries it targeted. Clara's transformation became a beacon of hope for others seeking redemption, and she was often invited to speak at the World Kindness Summit. Ronaldo's next vision. As the years passed, Ronaldo began to think even bigger. He envisioned a world where kindness wasn't just encouraged but institutionalized. To achieve this, he proposed a bold idea: the creation of a global kindness index, a framework that would measure countries' progress in fostering compassion, inclusion, and social well-being. Working with the United Nations, Ronaldo's team developed the index, which evaluated factors like access to education, equitable opportunities, and community engagement. Countries began striving to improve their rankings, not out of competition, but out of a genuine desire to create better societies. Ronaldo's work earned him numerous accolades, including a Nobel Peace Prize nomination. But for him, the true reward was seeing the lives his initiatives had touched. Every time he visited an academy or attended a Unity Cup match, he was reminded of why he had started this journey. João and Amina pay it forward. João, now a professional footballer, and Amina, a coach and activist, became ambassadors for the Ronaldo Foundation. They traveled the world, sharing their stories and mentoring the next generation of leaders. Together, they launched a scholarship program for young athletes from underprivileged backgrounds, ensuring that Ronaldo's mission would continue to grow. During one of their visits to the Madeira Academy, João turned to Amina and said, "Do you ever think about how one moment can change everything? If I hadn't met Cristiano on that plane, I don't know where I'd be." Amina smiled. "It's not just about meeting him. It's about what he taught us. Now, it's our turn to teach others." The legacy of a lifetime. By the time Ronaldo retired, his football career was only one chapter of his story. His name had become synonymous with kindness, and his work had inspired a global shift in how people treated one another. In his final public address, Ronaldo stood before a crowd of thousands in the same stadium where he had first dreamed of becoming a footballer. With tears in his eyes, he said, "Football gave me a voice, but kindness gave me a purpose. If my journey has shown you anything, let it be this. Greatness isn't what you achieve for yourself. It's what you do for others. Let's keep the kindness revolution alive." The crowd erupted into cheers, chanting his name. As Cristiano looked out at the sea of faces, he felt a deep sense of peace. He had lived his dream, not just as a footballer, but as a force for good in the world. A world changed forever. Years had passed since Cristiano Ronaldo had retired from professional football. His boots now rested in a glass case in his home, a symbol of his extraordinary career. But for Cristiano, life after football had been anything but quiet. His mission, the kindness revolution, had transformed into a global cultural phenomenon. The ripples of his efforts were now waves that reshaped communities, inspired nations, and created opportunities for millions of people worldwide. The Ronaldo Legacy Center, one of Cristiano's most ambitious projects post-retirement, was the creation of the Ronaldo Legacy Center, a massive hub located in Lisbon, Portugal. This wasn't just a museum or a monument to his career. It was a living, breathing space where ideas for global kindness initiatives were born. The center was designed with several core functions in mind. Global collaboration hub. Leaders, innovators, and activists from across the world gathered here to brainstorm solutions to some of humanity's biggest challenges, from poverty to education inequality. Education and Research Institute. The center housed classrooms, labs, and research facilities dedicated to studying the social impacts of kindness, empathy, and community building. Scholars and students worked together to turn theories into actionable programs. Community outreach programs. At the heart of the center was a focus on the local community. It provided free workshops, mentorship programs, and resources for underserved groups in Portugal, ensuring that Ronaldo's home country remained a cornerstone of his legacy. The grand opening of the Ronaldo Legacy Center was a spectacle in itself. World leaders, celebrities, and fans gathered to witness the unveiling of this revolutionary institution. Ronaldo's speech that day was one of the most heartfelt of his life. "When I was a young boy in Madeira," he began, "I dreamed of becoming the best footballer in the world. But as I grew older, I realized there was something even greater to aspire to. Leaving the world better than I found it. This center isn't just my legacy, it's ours. Together, we can build a future defined by compassion and hope." The Global Kindness League. One of the standout initiatives born from the Ronaldo Legacy Center was the Global Kindness League, GKL, a unique international competition that combines sports and community service. Each participating team was judged not only on their performance on the field, but also on the impact of their off-field initiatives. For example, teams were required to launch community projects, such as building schools or hospitals, organize events to promote inclusion and cultural understanding, mentor youth in underserved areas. The first GKL season featured teams from 20 countries, with participants ranging from professional athletes to local heroes. The league quickly became a global sensation, as fans rallied behind their teams for their work both on and off the pitch. One particularly inspiring story came from a team in India, where players collaborated with local farmers to create sustainable irrigation systems. Another team in Brazil used their platform to provide free education and meals for children in favelas. The league was more than just a competition. It was a celebration of humanity's potential for good. Cristiano's continued involvement. Despite being retired, Cristiano was more active than ever. He frequently traveled to GKL matches, visiting the communities that benefited from the league's initiatives. Fans loved seeing him interact with children, play impromptu matches, and share stories from his career. But what struck people most was his humility. Cristiano never acted like a global icon. He was simply a man on a mission to make the world a better place. During one such visit to a GKL project in Ghana, Cristiano met a young girl named Amina. She was only 9 years old but had already shown exceptional leadership skills, organizing her peers to clean up their village and plant trees. When Cristiano asked her why she did it, her answer left him speechless. "Because I watched your story," she said, looking up at him with wide, determined eyes. "You showed me that no matter who you are or where you come from, you can make a difference." Cristiano knelt down, placing a hand on her shoulder. "Amina, you're the reason I do what I do. Keep shining. You're already a leader." Clara's leadership and transformation. Clara, the former flight attendant who had once clashed with Cristiano, had fully embraced her role as a leader within the kindness revolution. She was now the director of community engagement for the Ronaldo Foundation, overseeing programs across multiple continents. One of her most impactful projects was the Empathy Academy, a curriculum-based initiative that taught children and adults how to understand and respect different perspectives. Clara's workshops became so popular that governments in Europe and Asia began incorporating them into national education systems. During a major conference at the Ronaldo Legacy Center, Clara shared her journey. "I was once someone who let anger and prejudice dictate my actions," she admitted to a room filled with policymakers and educators. "But Cristiano's forgiveness gave me a second chance, and I'm proof that anyone can change. Kindness is a skill we can all learn, and it's a skill that can change the world." Her words received a standing ovation, and her story inspired thousands to reflect on their own biases and behaviors. The Kindness Index goes global. As Ronaldo's initiatives continued to grow, the Global Kindness Index gained international recognition. Countries began competing to improve their rankings, not for prestige, but to demonstrate their commitment to creating better societies. The United Nations formally adopted the index as a tool for measuring progress toward the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. Nations that ranked high on the index saw tangible benefits, including increased foreign investment and improved tourism. The world was beginning to see kindness not just as a moral virtue, but as a practical framework for success. The emotional reunion. Amid all the global efforts, Ronaldo remained deeply connected to the individuals whose lives he had touched. One day, during a visit to the Madeira Academy, Cristiano received a surprise. João, now a professional footballer, and Amina, a celebrated coach and activist, had arranged a reunion with every child and family Ronaldo had helped over the years. The gathering took place in the academy's main field, where hundreds of people had gathered. João stepped forward to speak on behalf of everyone. "Cristiano," he began, his voice filled with emotion, "you've done so much for the world, but today we want to celebrate what you've done for us. You didn't just give us opportunities, you gave us hope, and we'll carry that hope forward, just like you taught us." As João finished, the crowd erupted into cheers, and Cristiano, overwhelmed with emotion, wiped tears from his eyes. This moment, surrounded by people whose lives had been changed by his kindness, was the culmination of everything he had worked for. The legacy lives on. As Cristiano Ronaldo entered the later years of his life, his focus shifted toward mentoring the next generation of leaders within the kindness revolution. He spent less time traveling and more time with his family, enjoying the simple joys he had often missed during his football career. But his legacy was far from over. The Ronaldo Foundation, the Global Kindness League, and the countless initiatives he had launched continued to thrive, driven by the people he had inspired. In his final public message, Cristiano left the world with these words: "Kindness is the greatest legacy we can leave behind. It's not about fame, fortune, or power. It's about the lives we touch and the love we give. I hope my journey has shown you that greatness is within all of us. Together, we can create a world where kindness is not the exception, but the rule." As his words echoed across the globe, the world knew one thing for certain. Cristiano Ronaldo had not just changed football, he had changed humanity. The future inspired by kindness. Cristiano Ronaldo's story didn't end with his retirement or even with the global initiatives he launched. His vision for a kinder, more empathetic world had taken root in the hearts of millions. Decades later, his name was no longer just associated with football. It had become synonymous with a global transformation that inspired generations to embrace the values of compassion, resilience, and hope. A new generation of leaders. By this time, the children who had once been mentored by Ronaldo were now adults leading the charge for positive change. João, now a star player and philanthropist, had built his own network of football academies under the guidance of the Ronaldo Foundation. These academies catered specifically to children in conflict zones, offering them a safe space to dream, play, and heal. João's programs were particularly impactful in Syria, where war had devastated communities for years. The academy there didn't just train young footballers. It became a haven for children to rebuild their confidence and find hope in a brighter future. João often spoke of Ronaldo's influence on his life. Cristiano taught me that a ball can do more than score goals. It can unite people, heal wounds, and bring joy where there's pain. João said during a televised interview, "I owe everything I am to the values he instilled in me." Meanwhile, Amina had risen to prominence as one of the most influential figures in women's football. She not only coached but also advocated for gender equality in sports, helping countless girls pursue their dreams in places where opportunities had previously been limited. Amina's leadership had even caught the attention of the International Olympic Committee, which invited her to help design inclusive policies for global sports events. "Cristiano saw potential in me when others didn't," Amina often said. "Now, I strive to do the same for others. It's a cycle of kindness, and it starts with someone believing in you." The Kindness University. One of the most enduring legacies of Ronaldo's vision was the establishment of the Kindness University, an institution dedicated to teaching the principles of empathy, leadership, and global citizenship. Located in Lisbon, the university attracted students from all over the world, each driven by the desire to make a difference. The curriculum was as diverse as its students. Courses ranged from conflict resolution and sustainable development to arts and sports as tools for social change. Professors included Nobel laureates, activists, and even former students of Ronaldo's academies. The university's motto, engraved in stone at the entrance, read, "Greatness lies in the lives we touch." One of the university's most inspiring students was a young woman named Sofia, who had grown up in a refugee camp in Greece. Despite facing unimaginable hardships, she had excelled academically and earned a scholarship to the Kindness University. There, she discovered her passion for using technology to solve social problems. Sofia's final project, a mobile app that connected refugees with job opportunities and language training, went on to receive international recognition. In her graduation speech, she tearfully thanked Ronaldo and the foundation for giving her the chance to change her life. "This university didn't just educate me," she said. "It gave me a family, a purpose, and a chance to dream again." The Global Kindness Day. As part of Ronaldo's mission to institutionalize kindness, the United Nations officially designated Global Kindness Day in his honor. Celebrated annually on February 5th, Cristiano's birthday, the day became a worldwide event where people performed acts of kindness in their communities. Schools organized activities like writing letters to the elderly, cleaning up neighborhoods, and raising funds for charity. Businesses gave employees time off to volunteer, while governments used the day to highlight national initiatives promoting equality and inclusion. The day became a symbol of what humanity could achieve when united by empathy. Ronaldo often participated in these events, surprising communities with unannounced visits. Whether it was painting murals with children in a small village or handing out meals to the homeless, he remained as hands-on as ever. Clara's new chapter. Clara's journey continued to evolve in ways she never could have imagined. She became an internationally recognized advocate for emotional intelligence, publishing a best-selling book titled From Prejudice to Purpose: My Journey Toward Kindness. The book detailed her transformation and the lessons she learned along the way. becoming a source of inspiration for people struggling with their own biases and insecurities. During a global book tour, Clara often credited Ronaldo for giving her a second chance. "He saw something in me that I didn't see in myself," she said during an interview. "That's the power of kindness. It doesn't just change the recipient, it changes the giver too." Clara eventually founded her own nonprofit, Empathy in Action, which trained educators, corporate leaders, and government officials to integrate emotional intelligence into their daily work. Her organization partnered closely with the Ronaldo Foundation, further amplifying the impact of the kindness revolution. Ronaldo's final project. As Ronaldo entered the twilight years of his life, he began working on his final and most ambitious project, the Cristiano Ronaldo Global Village. This visionary community was designed to be a living example of how kindness could shape society. Built on the outskirts of Lisbon, the village was a self-sustaining ecosystem where people of all backgrounds lived, worked, and thrived together. It included eco-friendly housing and infrastructure, free education and healthcare for residents, spaces dedicated to arts, sports, and innovation, a community-driven economy that reinvested profits into social programs. Ronaldo spent years overseeing the development of the village, ensuring that every detail aligned with his vision. He often visited the site, speaking with architects, volunteers, and future residents. When the village was finally completed, it became a beacon of hope and a model for other communities around the world. At the grand opening, Ronaldo addressed the crowd one last time. His voice, though older, carried the same passion it always had. "This village is not about me," he said. "It's about what we can achieve together. Let it remind us that no matter where we come from or what we've been through, kindness can build a better world." The final chapter. Cristiano Ronaldo passed away peacefully at the age of 95, surrounded by his family in his Madeira home. His passing was met with an outpouring of love and gratitude from around the world. Tributes poured in, not just for the football legend, but for the humanitarian whose kindness had transformed countless lives. The world mourned, but it also celebrated. On the day of his funeral, millions participated in acts of kindness in his honor. João and Amina led a ceremony at the Ronaldo Legacy Center, where they unveiled a statue of Cristiano. Not in his football jersey, but in a suit symbolizing his role as a global ambassador for kindness. The inscription beneath the statue read, "He came as a player. He left as a legend. But he lived as a beacon of hope."